Europe in a couple days now. We leave on Monday to go to Italy, start in Lake Como, go to Venice, Florence, and end in Rome. And it's a great opportunity for our team, for our coaching staff to be able to come together and really start to figure out what we have as a team, but also just to get to experience the culture of a different country and figure out how other places do it other than just in the United States. So we've had 9 practices. We have one more left on Monday before we take off Monday night. So we've had great practices so far. They've been a lot of fun. We have a great group of young women. You know, whenever you're taking a trip overseas, you never know exactly how it's all going to play out, but we have a great group of ladies that I'm excited to take over to get to know better. We have 4 freshmen, and it should be a great experience for us.
Coach, we saw with Tad's group last year what that did for them, kind of the springboard. And you talked with him all about maybe how to make that trip more efficient, get more on it?
Yeah, we actually just talked the other day. Our Tad and I's schedules have not been together at all during the summer. He's home while I'm recruiting and vice versa. So I finally had a chance to talk to him a little bit the other day. He just said enjoy the experience. Don't worry too much about wins and losses. He said it's kind of nice not to have anybody really paying attention or caring whether you win or lose. So it's really just going to be our pride that we're going to want to win. So it should be something that we can really use to help springboard us into next season. Especially losing Chucky Jeffrey, our point guard, and losing Megan Malcolm-Peck, our captain. These are 2 huge positions that we have to try to fill. And what a better way to do it, than to get an early start, have practices. It's really helped our 2014 recruiting as well, because we've been able to figure out exactly what we need and what we're missing with our current team.
You personally, have you been to Italy before?
I've been to Italy.
What's the one thing you would like to see over there coaching?
Well, there's a lot of things. I've heard Lake Como is pretty outstanding. It's beautiful. We start there. That's probably the city that I'm most excited for because it's a little bit slower. However, I think being able to see a Coliseum in Rome, being able to see Florence and some of the different things in Florence. I've heard we need to see David in Florence, so we're looking forward to that. There's a lot of different things that you never quite know what's going to be your favorite part of the trip until you go over there. And right now, I think Lake Como will be great, but I have a feeling that there's going to be a different part that I really enjoy. And one of the things that we've done is we've given 4 players the opportunity to brief our team on what we should see in each of those cities. So they have to do the research, they have to figure out what it is. I know Brittany Wilson has Lake Como, and she says we have to see George Clooney's house already. I'm sure there's a lot of other things that she'll brief us on when we head that way. So it should be fun.
Linda, how serious are you taking trips from a basketball perspective as opposed to team building perspective? What is your major emphasis? I know you want to go, but which one's more of emphasis?
I think you're going to get both, and it's a chance for our team to immediately come together. It's been somewhat difficult to plan practices because what I told our team is we have to be ready to play a game next week, where normally we have 10 to 12 weeks of just a very slow progression and build up into what we're trying to do both offensively and defensively. So as a coach, I've had to figure out what are the most important things, what do we have to get in, what are we going to let slide in terms of fundamentals and different things like that, and what do we really want to teach the right way to start off with. So that's been a little bit different and a little bit of a challenge. I think the team building aspect of it is probably going to be the most important piece. We could have practiced this summer anyway because of the new NCAA rules, but I think being able to be in a foreign country together where you might be the only people speaking English and everybody is uncomfortable. There's not going to be one person in our entire travel group that's comfortable. And I think whenever you have that sort of scenario, it brings you together more because you really rely on each other.
Linda, you'll be playing professional teams over there. What type of competition do you expect, or have you looked into that? And if it's international rules, what kind of adjustments do you have to make?
We don't quite know the level that we're going to be playing against. You know, the time of the year that we're going, a lot of the club teams, all the players haven't necessarily all come back yet. They usually start coming back towards the end of August or beginning of September. I know we could be playing anywhere from 16 to 35-year-olds, 40-year-olds. So the teams are very diverse in age and probably playing ability as well. I know our first game in Florence, they said, will be the toughest. So I think that's a good thing. And then we play 3 games in Rome. I'm not quite sure the level of competition. As far as rules, there are quite a few different rules. We've been trying to practice with them as much as we can. Probably the one that will affect us the most, 2 that will affect us the most, is the extended 3-point line. It's a good foot behind ours, and so it seems considerably further when we're practicing and when we're taking shots. And then the trapezoid lane, which they're changing, but they said most of the gyms over there will still be of the trapezoid lane. So just being able to deal with that, having things spread out. We've really worked on spacing in practice. We want to hug, especially our young players, they want to hug that 3-point line. And with the lane, if our post players ever want to get a touch, we're going to have to really space out the floor on the outside. You know, I think the other thing that will be a little bit of an adjustment is, you know, after a dead ball, or let's say you throw the ball out of bounds, they're not going to make sure everybody is set on the floor. They'll have the officials sprint over there, they'll throw the ball to a spot, and as fast as you can get it out and get it back in, they will let you do that. So we've practiced that a little bit in practice, and I think it could be advantageous for us, actually. But defensively, we're going to have to just be on our game and be ready and have a sense of urgency. So I think those things are probably going to be the biggest changes.
Are there any other schools going outside us? Like you're following another team that follows us?
I would imagine that that's normally the case. I know usually you cross paths with 1 or 2 other universities while you're over there. I don't know who that might be yet, but I would imagine we'd see 1 or 2 other universities while we're over there.
You know, I talked about curriculum the other day, but is this about the best year you think it will be because Chucky's gone? Yes, you got to work in the point guard
Right.
and there's more about it.
Yeah.
Is this about the best year you can possibly do this and try to get those players actively playing each other?
Yeah, it's actually been a blessing in disguise. We were originally planned on going last year, and then we had a few too many injuries and some off-season surgeries that we had to get taken care of, and we weren't going to have our full squad, and so we postponed it to this year, and it is perfect. We've been able to, you know, a lot of times when you start practice in October, that's when you first really start to understand what you're missing, and then you have to make sure that you fix that before your first game. We know what we're missing in August, and we know, I think, what are going to be our strengths, at least a beginning idea of what those are going to be. And now, when we come back through preseason, we can start to incorporate some drills and some concepts that we might need in order to be successful, and really help develop some of our players that we need this year, some of our young players. And you know, it's good when you have a group of veteran players that you know what you're going to get, you know what to expect. It's been fun to see them get better in the off season, and we told them they had to when we're losing Chucky, which is, you know, she did a lot of things for us. So if everybody else doesn't get better, then we're not going to be as good as a team. And so I think that they took that to heart, and I've seen a lot of great improvements from some of our returners.
Any other questions? Actually, I'll ask one real quick. Coach, can you just talk about you know, how the players came out to a successful year, and just how they, when they came back over the summer, you know, if you saw like that they still had that desire and that hunger to do better, and just how you saw them in the first few practices?
Well, the first couple practices were a little rough, I have to admit. You know, they're used to playing pickup all summer, and they don't play pickup nearly like we practice. And so they had some bad habits just in terms of their effort and in terms of just basic fundamental things. But after about 3 practices, they were ready.